Hello and welcome to the debut episode of Green Terror Talk, the official podcast of McDaniel College Athletics. I'm your host, Avery Newport. So glad to be joined today by the football coach of the Green Terror, Mr. Skyler Fultz. Skyler, thanks for coming on the first episode of Green Terror Talk.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you having me.
So you just played a big game, obviously your very first game as the head coach of your alma mater, the Green Terror, on Friday night, which was a win in your very first game, 7-3 over the Catholic University Cardinals, the final score. Skyler, just go into a little bit how that game was like for you coming back here on campus at your alma mater, coaching the Green Terror to a win. Just what did that feel like to you, finally stepping on that field and winning as a head coach?
The emotions are kind of hard to describe. The playing at night, one, made a crazy environment. It was great for the players. It was great for all the community to be involved. But it made a really long day for me. From the time I woke up till it was time to game time, it was a lot of, not stress, just like that positive nervousness as you're looking into it. Like, you were excited just to see the guys play. They put in a lot of work since spring practice, put a lot of work in over the summer on their own, and then all the way through preseason camp, just to be able to watch them, be able to play the game they love, and then to play it at a high level. At the end of the day, a win is a win. It doesn't matter what the score is. You can always get better. You could always play worse. What matters most is when all the zeros are left on the scoreboard, you got one more than the opponent, and we were fortunate enough to get four more.
That's right. 7-3 was the final, just a single touchdown scored in that game, but that was all you needed to get the win. 1-0 on the season. Let's talk a little bit about the quarterback situation going into Friday night. Now, there was a bit of a discussion about who was going to be the starting quarterback for the Green Terror. Competition really was between Eric Grinwis, a senior, and Angel Granado Jr., a talented sophomore quarterback who started the back half of the season last year. But you as the coach, you decided to put Eric in as the starter in that Catholic game. What was that decision-making process like for you to go with Eric over Angel in the opener?
So when I came in the spring, I kind of sat down and talked to everyone in the quarterback room and said, no matter what, there are guys in here that have played games. So I don't need to have like any preconceived notion. We're going to look at who learns the offense and then who executes it at the best level. All throughout spring ball and then preseason camp, I was basically evaluating everything from who's going to be the most accurate throwing the football in 7-on-7 periods, team periods. But really what it came down to is throughout camp, throughout the scrimmage, who's going to limit the big mistakes. Because at the end of the day, I can deal with the growth and the learning process. And when you came back and looked at it, Eric did a great job all throughout camp of limiting the mistakes and getting us out of bad situations. Both of them do some really, really good things. It just came down to that sole thing. Because when you look at it, Angel did play the last 5 games of the year last year and played well at times. And then also when Eric was healthy, Eric has thrown for 400 yards in the Centennial Conference game. So that's not an easy thing to do. So you know he has the talent to do it. We feel like we got guys that can play for us. It's just at the end of the day, I had to go with that decision.
Yeah, and I totally understand it too, because your first game as head coach, you want that steady senior leadership at the quarterback spot, and that's exactly what Eric provided in that opening win. He didn't make mistakes. He kept the ball in McDaniel's hands, didn't turn the ball over, the one interception, but beyond that, really didn't hurt you all in the long run. He was able to keep the guys cool and calm and collected and just get you through the game. And that really is kind of all you want as you're in your first game, just to keep the game going.
And that interception is more on me than it is on him. We were trying something to get 4th and 9 in that situation. We weren't going to kick the field goal. We didn't have a great kicking situation on Friday night. So we were looking at it as, all right, if something bad happens here, we're not going to punt the football. We're going to take the opportunity to take the shot. Right. And that's really where it came to that. But the one thing I was really happy about with Eric is we gave up no sacks. Yeah. And a lot of that was him getting us out of bad situations and turning them into 2-yard gains or throwing the ball away. So that was really where I was happy with. He didn't cause the negative play. He got us out of bad situations, which is really what you go back to. The game experience really does have an effect in that situation.
Yeah, you also used him on the ground a lot. He's typically more of a standard pocket passer. You know, he'll sit back in the pocket and try and find his receivers downfield. But you used him a lot in the read option game, in the ground game. He had 13 carries in the win. So that really showed a lot of leadership to me on his part, that he was able to kind of change up his play style a little bit to fit your offense, to fit your vision. I saw a lot of potential from him on the ground as well.
Yeah, Eric's a better athlete than I think a lot of people give him credit for. Yeah. But it's just different styles. He's not going to run like Cam Newton. He's not going to be downhill for 30 times in a game. But able to do enough that the opposing team has to respect it, right? So that way where he's not just sitting back there being a statue all the time. We don't have to always bring extra guys into the box to account for people. It's no, every now and then Eric can account for that extra guy to give us that next layer and level of it. It also helps benefit that I don't have to have separate game plans for him and Angel. They both can do everything, which really helps because I believe in always making sure you have two quarterbacks prepared every single week.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we talked a little bit about the run game. We can keep that going here. Micaiah Cobbs, in my opinion, and I'm sure you might agree too, was the star of the game on offense for the Green Terror. Had 83 yards on the ground on 20 carries. Scored the only touchdown of the game as well. Averaged over 4 yards a carry too. And to me, I mean, I think you got to keep this run game going. You know what I mean? It looks so effective with both the quarterback runs and Micaiah being the workhorse of the offense. A lot of good signs from the ground game in that game one.
Yeah, I mean, Cobbsy ran really, really hard. And the one thing with him is I think he's becoming a true every down back that can do all the things you want to do. Because we even tried to get him involved in the pass game a couple times, just missed. He was wide open on the one. I think he probably would have ended up scoring on that play too. But the one thing I like about him is his build and his tenacity. He always finishes forward, right? You go back and watch. If we clean up some of the things up front in the blocking styles, he probably gets even more of what's out there. But even the touchdown run, he got contacted about a yard or two downfield, and the rest was after him because he just runs so hard, so low to the ground, and does a lot of the technique things really, really well. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, that touchdown run, you said it. He ran into a pile of defenders, kept his legs moving, spun out of trouble, and scored on that pylon. Just an amazing run. I sent it in today to the Centennial Conference for one of the plays of the week because it really was the play that won the game, essentially. So love to see that from Micaiah. Hopefully we can keep the run game, moving at this pace because it was really impressive. We can take a look at the overall statistics from the 7-3 win for McDaniel over Catholic on Friday night. You outgained the Cardinals in almost every offensive category. You look at time of possession, you had 2 more minutes of possession with the ball than they did. But the one thing that really stood out to me, and I'm sure you want to work on this too, are the conversions, right? Because 5 of 17 on third down, 1 of 4 from fourth down. It got the job done. You were able to pull out the win anyway, but is that something that you want to try and work on, more success on those third and fourth down plays moving forward?
Yeah, third down, I mean, obviously your goal is always to be 40% or better on third down. But I think in order to be better on third down, you have to be better on first down. Like if you go back early on in the game, a lot of our third down troubles came from first down penalties, first down mistakes. We had the bad snap. We had a couple of those things, and they're already setting you behind the sticks to start. So, yes, you might have a good second down, but now your third down is going to be 3rd and 9, which now that's a hard thing to do, especially in the Centennial Conference with the pass rushers that we see and the defenses that we see. We have to be a little bit better early down to be better on third. A couple of those were 3rd and long situations, which I was really happy we got them, and they came at really important times. The 4th down ones, those are kind of disappointing because we wanted to have an attitude about getting them, and we're just off. I mean, the one was the 4th down, which was also in the red zone at the exact same time, fumbled snap, right? The little mistakes that hopefully week 1 to week 2 you're not going to make as you get more comfortable. You start building a little bit more confidence going forward.
Yeah, right. Well, you talked about the goal line stand just a little bit, but we can switch it on the other end and talk about the defense because the defense was phenomenal from start to finish. And you had to replace a lot of production from last year into this year. You lost a couple of senior leaders, a couple grad student leaders, and you replaced them with underclassmen. But in my opinion, the defense was stellar from start to finish. Mostly Tavon LeGrand, number 32, your starting middle linebacker, just a true freshman this year. Talk about the impact that he had in his first game as a collegiate athlete.
You wouldn't know Tavon was a freshman if you were to actually talk to him about football and how he sees things and acts. But he comes from a very, very successful high school program, Steele High in Pennsylvania, multiple state championships. He's played in a lot of big football games. So he's not afraid of the moment. So now his talent can match the emotions that he plays with, that it can match the intelligence that he plays with. So the sky's really the limit for Tavon. I think as he continues to develop in Coach Piercy's defense, learns the ins and outs of what he's going to see week in and week out from different offenses, he's only going to continue to get better to where that natural ability will match up with his football knowledge as well.
Yeah, right. Because you can have so much football knowledge, but the jump from high school to college is a different beast. It really is. And the fact that he was able to make it look so effortless and seamless in just his first game was really impressive. That stood out right away to me. And of course, the more game experience he builds up, the better those instincts are going to be down the road. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can see it even since the start of preseason to where it was game one, right? Like I mentioned earlier, week 1 to week 2, you make your biggest jump. Well, you can also extrapolate that down to the individual players, right? He's gotten that first game out. Now he can just continue to get better at what he's seeing. He doesn't have to worry about, oh, it's my first start, it's my first game, it's my first blitz. All those things are all gone now. Now he can just kind of let loose a little bit and play football the way he's always played.
Yeah. Speaking of a guy who's played some football for a long time and some good football too, number 7, Bailey Himes, one of the starting safeties for your defense, 9 total tackles in the win. He was a ball hawk just all over the field, and he brings that veteran leadership too to your ball club. Talk a little bit about his impact on the defensive side.
The one thing with Bailey, as well as he played, he'll also be the first one to tell you he can even be better. There was a couple of times he was out of position, which just comes from first game, first knowledge, seeing some things. But the one play he made, they threw the deep post going towards the scoreboard, and he came from his opposite safety spot to break the play up. That was one of the best safety plays I've seen. And Bailey is right up there with the guys that is playing with a lot of confidence. I think just more and more reps going through. Again, year 2, Coach Piercy's defense, learning everything. It's going to be exciting to see him go. Yeah,
really excited to see how he develops again in year 2 of Coach Dale Piercy's defensive system. But the defense really was astonishingly good. I mean, I thought, coming in, it's your first game, coaching the Green Terror, and you've got an offensive reputation, of course. You're the offensive play caller. You came from King's College in Pennsylvania, where you had a top 20 offense in the country in Division III last year, 8-3 in your first year as a head coach there. So my thinking was coming into this game, well, you're going to get the offense in shape. The offense is going to be running up and down the field, scoring all these points. But the game really turned out to be a defensive struggle on both ends.
And that's, again, no matter what, football is still a complementary sport, right? And the one thing I was really proud of is we got into the locker room, and I told the guys, I'm like, defense, if you keep doing what you're doing, what you did in the first half, we'll make one less mistake, and we'll score, we'll get out of this thing with the win. And that's what ended up happening because we were able to rely on them, right? Like, I knew we got into the fourth quarter, it's you get them to use their 3 timeouts, we'll punt the football, and they're not going to score because the way our defense was playing, they were getting after the quarterback every chance they could. Catholic made some good adjustments at halftime. And it took us a little bit to kind of tweak back and get in the right position. But at the end of the day, they did all the little things right. They were all pursuit all over the place, multiple people. And then when it came time to make the play, our experienced guys, our older guys made the play, right? Mike Cunningham was there. Chris Wright was involved. DeMonte Gifford made a huge play. Each one of these guys made different plays at the right time to really kind of seal it for us.
Yeah, and they made a lot of plays that really killed drives for Catholic, too. Every time it looked like the Cardinals were going to try and build some momentum and string together a couple good plays, you mentioned it. DeMonte Gifford forced that sack fumble in the first quarter. Kevin Batchelor got a big sack late in the fourth quarter to really put Catholic on ice towards the end there. And it seems like your guys just have good instincts for when to make the plays at the right time. And that's something that you can try and coach it all you want to, but you just got to have that football instinct. And it looks like already in your first year here, you've inherited a group of guys that really understand how to play the game and when to make the big plays at the right time.
When I came in the spring, it was clear the guys were hungry, right? Like we didn't have a huge roster when I got here. We were right around like 50 guys or so. But the guys that were here, they said, those who stay, we're going to be fine. We're just going to continue to work together, and they really bought into it. And that's why I kind of knew I was fine leaning on the defense because that is a group of older guys. Did we have a lot of guys coming back on offense that played last year? Yes. But they're still on the younger side. They haven't been through the transition. They haven't been through turmoil, and the older guys really did a fantastic job of really just buying in and just playing football with great passion, great enthusiasm. I actually had to tone back their emotion a little bit because I think that played a part in some of the cramps that some of the guys were having. They were just a little too amped up.
Right.
But again, you'd rather it that way than trying to crank them up. They were already ready to go, and they fed off of each other the whole night.
Yeah, and I can tell that, not only were they all together for that win, but I think personally they fed off the crowd, the environment of the night game here on the Hill, the first one that we've had at McDaniel since 2015, which was, kind of in the rearview mirror of your playing days here in McDaniel when you were tight end from 2007 to 2010. So it's been a long time since we've had a night game and a lot of hype and energy, positive energy around this program. Talk about how you felt seeing all the fans in full force, the tailgaters out, playing under the lights. You know, you mentioned it was your first game and all the jitters and the emotions coming back to you. Was that amplified at all by playing under the lights, by playing a night game?
Oh, without a doubt. Talking to Jeremy Shepard, our athletic director, a couple of months ago when we were really working through the schedule and kind of the administrative stuff for this year, he was like, what are your thoughts on having a night game? I'm like, absolutely. I was like, the Hill is already an amazing experience for a football game, not just Division III, but all of college football. But to be able to do it at night, I knew it was going to add another layer to it. And it's something that was already going to be emotional, was already going to be full of a lot of electricity. I think that just added to the whole experience. And then all the players just kind of fed off of it. Like, they were looking forward to it. I remember when I first told them during a meeting that we were going to open at night, and they all got beyond ecstatic, right? Cool. Nice. They're all like, any chance we can get black uniforms for it, do all this stuff. I'm like, guys, take a step back. We got a lot of work to do till we get
I don't
that.
think we have black in one of our official color schemes.
Right? Like, they always want to try to take stuff to the next step, right? Sure. But there was just pure excitement about it because they know what the environment is like on a normal game, let alone a homecoming, let alone a night game to go through. And it kind of surpassed. During warm-ups, I kind of took an opportunity just to look around and be like, I remember what it was like standing here, I remember what it was like, but I never had the chance to stand there under the lights at that time. So it was a really, really special thing.
Hey, look, we know the people. We can get you black uniforms. We can start that process.
Let's not go down that route yet, Avery.
We'll get there. When the time comes, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But no, so we've recapped your Catholic game. Again, 7-3 win for McDaniel in the season opener in 2024. Let's look at next week's game, upcoming this weekend. You're on the road against Rowan. You're going up to Glassboro in New Jersey. This is the first road game that you're going to coach as McDaniel's head coach. Is it any different in terms of preparation for a home game and a road game? Or are you approaching it the same way?
No, your normal week doesn't change. You're still approaching things the same way. I think where the biggest change comes from is Friday leading into Saturday. Is just understanding you have to wake up a little bit earlier. Your eating schedule is going to be a little bit different, and then you have to kind of adjust to the fact that you're getting off the bus after a 2-hour ride, and then it's time to kind of lock in and go to work, right? I believe in trying to keep everything same as much as possible. So if it's a 1 o'clock kick, we're going to do everything the same. It's just we're going to get on a bus before we do that. Yeah. So you try to keep it as similar as possible. But again, the test of a good team is not just what you do at home, it's what you can do on the road. So the challenge to them is to continue to grow and develop from week 1 to week 2. But now it's not just 1 to 2, it's home to away on top of it, right? Can we play with the same emotion? Can we play with the same focus and just get a little bit better at the same time?
So now, talk about this Rowan team a little bit. I'm sure you've done your homework on Rowan. You know some of the coaches there as well. So how is your preparation process going for Rowan? Is there anyone in particular that you're looking out for from a coach's standpoint? What do you see from this Rowan team that you need to prepare for?
I mean, Rowan had a great win against Stevenson last week. I know because I went against Stevenson for a bunch of years being in the MAC. And the one thing with Rowan is I thought they played extremely hard, right? First game of the year, you're playing for a new head coach. I know Coach Rulli from his time when he was at Susquehanna, when he was at Muhlenberg before. I know the passion that he coaches with. I know the way he coaches his defense. They're going to get after you. And that was really a testament to them because they came out. They made a couple of huge plays. But then also they made the plays that Stevenson messed up, they made it hurt them, right? They did a really good job. Their quarterback, they ended up coming, and they played 2 different kids. The one kid ended up having a fantastic day for him. I believe he got NJAC Player of the Week. They did some really, really good things, but also you could tell it was first year doing some stuff. So again, first game, first year system, you're going to make some mistakes. And the key is who's going to make fewer mistakes this week, right? And I know what we're going to get from an emotion, enthusiasm style. They're going to play hard. Rowan's always been a hard-fought team that also has some athletes out there. So we're in for a really, really good game, a nice non-conference game as we're continuing to prep for conference play.
Exactly, yeah. These non-conference games on the road especially really set you up for such a competitive league like the Centennial Conference is. Of course, you always have Johns Hopkins and Muhlenberg at the top of the league, but we've seen some other schools in the league improving as well. I mean, Gettysburg this past week had 2 players of the week. They had one of the best games they played at that program in years. So we've really started to see the rest of the Centennial kind of catch up to the very top. And if you ask me, I might be biased, but if you ask me, I think you guys are on that positive trajectory as well.
That's the goal, right? And I told you guys from the beginning, you can't look at the end goal, right? It's that process of week to week, continue to build and develop, right? It's kind of hard fact for everyone to think about. Like, you want to win all 10 games. That's always the goal, right? But you have to have incremental goals that get you to that point. And it's like, all right, what can I do today that's going to help me be better tomorrow, that's going to help me win on Saturday? Right. And then that win on Saturday can help me win the next one, right? And especially you get to the conference play week in and week out, you know you're playing quality opponents, right? Every single team on our schedule does some good things, whether it's on offense, whether it's on defense. Like, everyone does a good job somewhere. So you have to always be at the top of your game, because anyone can win any week, especially in the Centennial Conference.
Will we continue to see moving forward a 2-quarterback system going with you guys, with Eric and with Angel? We saw a little bit of Angel in a couple series in the opening win. Now, you don't need to give away your full game plan here. I'm not trying to give Rowan or anybody else any extra information on you guys, but how much of the 2 quarterbacks are we going to see together this week or perhaps down the road?
So we're going to take it week by week, kind of see where things go. And that was my message to them from the beginning, is until someone earns it completely. Because, again, they both do really good things. So I'm approaching it that I'm preparing both to be able to play. And then also because you never know with injuries how things go. True. So we're going to take it from a week by week kind of situation and see where things go until whether it's Eric or Angel comes in and solidifies it. But right now, you're going to go with what you know, right? And Eric won us the first game, so we're going to go with Eric, and then also prepare for Angel to have an opportunity to possibly get some snaps going forward.
Great. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to see how you guys will continue this positive momentum from the opening win against Catholic. You're on the road this week in Rowan, your first road game as McDaniel football head coach. Really excited to see the positive progression of your team. Again, just getting the win, getting that first win, getting over the hump is so important, and I think it sets you guys up really well for the rest of the season. Of course, you know, a perfect season is extremely hard to do, and coming from where you guys came from, you know, that's something you can think about down the road. But just getting that first win is so important. Talk about how that first win just really kind of resets the program in a lot of ways and sets your goals for the rest of the year.
You talk about the elephant in the room, right? Like, you're going off an 0-10 season. It's like, can we at least get the first one, right? So when I met with the team yesterday, I was like, guys, the monkey's off the back now. Right now, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You solidified. It's guaranteed. This is not last year. Right. Like, it's guaranteed. It's done. Now you just got to focus on getting the next one. Now, how do you get the next one? Is you have to have a good day today. You have to have a good day tomorrow, and just start stacking days to give you that opportunity. I think to some of the older guys it was a relief, because it wasn't any chance of being this is what it was. This is a chance now for them to kind of see what we can be.
Yeah, this is a new chapter. I totally agree, and I think you captured it best in your post-game huddle with the team on the field after the win, after you got the Gatorade bath and everything, after celebrating. You said this is the new standard of McDaniel football, and that personally resonated with me, because I can tell that you clearly believe it, and I think they believe it too, that this is a new chapter, that this is not the same old McDaniel team of the past. You've got something really good brewing here, and I'm really excited to see where you take it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, the one thing, like I tell the guys, I don't believe in rules. I don't believe in guidelines and stuff. I believe in standards, right? Because I can set the standard, but then they continue to carry it and push it forward, right? So to them, and a lot of people's mind, the standard here has been a losing record, right? Like, you should be better than what you are. It's, well, now we've already exceeded what some people thought. Yeah. Now this needs to be the standard, not the exception to the rule. So I told them, like, we're not going to celebrate like we were on the Super Bowl, right? Like, you need to act like you've been there before. Enjoy it. It's hard to win a college football game. I used to work for a coach all the time. I don't care if you're playing a team that's 0-10 or 10-0. Winning a football game is hard. Yeah. So you need to celebrate it and enjoy it. But understand the one beautiful thing about our sport is you turn right around, you have another one, right? Very rarely, like a lot of times it's one and done. Like, you're competing. You might not compete again for a couple of weeks. It's like, no, we can turn right around and you got another one again. So enjoy it. But this is now the standard of expectations, is we can be in every football game that we're in and learn from all those things.
Yeah, really excited to see this game this weekend on the road against Rowan. Coach Skyler Fultz, thank you so much for being the first guest on the Green Terror Talk podcast. Really enjoyed getting to talk with you a little bit about the beginning portion of the season and really excited to see where this team goes moving forward.
Thanks so much, Avery. Appreciate it. Go Green Terror.
Go Green Terror. That's right. This is the official podcast of McDaniel College Athletics. We're going to give you a behind-the-scenes look of everything going on in McDaniel College Athletics, from football to basketball, baseball, spring sports, winter sports, fall sports, everything you want, and some little other things here. And we're going to do some challenges, some games. We're going to do some personal things as well. We'll do some trivia. We have a whole bunch of fun things planned for you, and I'm really excited to see where this podcast takes off. But we got to start somewhere. We started with you, Skyler. So appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I told you, just no Hot Ones contest for me. I'm good with everything else.
I
Just
suggested yesterday, hey, we should do a Hot Ones episode with you. That'd be so fun. And you were like, no, absolutely not. Shut it down right away.
I like to be able to taste my food. I don't want my whole face to burn up. It won't go well.
All right. Well, I'll go back to the drawing board. I'll think of something fun for us to do together. But Skyler, you've been great. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much, Avery. Appreciate it.
Welcome back to segment 2 of the first episode of Green Terror Talk, the official podcast of McDaniel College Athletics. Avery Newport back here with the head coach of the McDaniel women's soccer team, Michael Scott. Michael, thanks for being the second guest on the very first episode today.
No problem, Avery. Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, you got a big game coming up this week. I don't want to take too much of your time because you got to prepare for one of the best Division III soccer teams in the country, Messiah. You guys are on the road this week against Messiah. Talk about what that preparation process has been like for you. Don't give away too many of your secrets here, of course, but just what has that preparation process been like for you as a ranked team, as one of the best teams in the country? How have you prepared for another top 25 team on the road?
Yeah, Messiah is always a tough opposition. I mean, they return all of their starters from last year. Scott Fry, obviously, Coach Fry has a great reputation in Division III soccer, one of the highest winning percentages, I think, in all of soccer. So it's always a fun test. The last couple of games, it's been a fun tactical battle. We win at home, they win at home, then we win at home. So I'm hoping to buck that trend this year. Coming off the 2 games this weekend, it's a little tougher. Obviously, I had to give the girls a day off yesterday. So we're going in today, which is Tuesday.
Just so people know, of course, you can go back and watch anytime.
So yeah, we're kind of coming into it today with kind of one full day of preparation of a scout, then going right into it tomorrow. But I'm really proud of the girls so far. We've kind of shown how tactically adept we are. We've jumped between a number of systems in the first couple of games already to exploit some weaknesses and potentially some other opposition and enhance our strengths. So I think we have a couple of game plans set to see what they throw it as, but they're always a good team. And again, Coach Fry can change it up on you in any moment. So it's always a fun tactical battle against Messiah.
But hey, I mean, you guys are ranked yourselves. You're not too shabby either. Ranked 13th in the United Coaches poll. You just told me right before we went on air. So you've got a lot of pedigree here, and especially since this is your first year as the coach of the team. You coached under Sandy Lagana-Bly for 7 years, and now you've taken over the program yourself. This is really impressive to continue that winning tradition that Sandy set when she was the coach here. Now you've taken over and you've continued that tradition right on through your first couple of matches. What has that been like to keep that moving now that, even though Sandy's not here, you're trying to set your own standard and your own precedent, but still trying to, take what you learned from her. What has that transition been like for you taking over the program this year?
Yeah, I obviously got a little bit of a head start in the spring, so I took over in March officially. So it was a little bit of growing not pains, but kind of the change at that time of year where the team was the same. So I think they were happy in a sense where it was the same. Some sort of continuity. Coach Brian, our goalkeeper coach, and myself are still on board. We brought in Kylie Altland, who's been a great addition to the staff and to the group, and she's really kind of gelled with the girls and really kind of filled seamlessly into the assistant role to help me out right away, and Brian as well. So the consistency with Brian's been good. And then obviously everything I've learned from Sandy over the last 7 years, I'm trying to remember it all. I tried to be a sponge for those 7 years. And
a lot of time to absorb things.
Yeah. So, I mean, the last few years we definitely worked on things together. So I think the first couple of years was definitely learning. The last couple have been more of a collaboration between Sandy and I think that was good. I coached club and I head coached club, so that kind of gave me a sense of like being the person to make the final decision. I was always the one giving ideas, but we could do this. But she always reminded me it was her. The numbers were after her name.
Yeah, that's right. Now no one's telling you, hey, we can't do this. We can't. You can just whatever you're thinking, you can.
We didn't try and change too much because obviously we don't really want to mess with a winning formula. So we talked to the girls a little bit in the end of the spring, the start of the summer, just if there was any things that they maybe wanted to do a little bit differently. But again, it wasn't too drastic. We returned a lot of players, which is nice, and then we have a great freshman class who a lot of them are contributing right away from a large class, so that's obviously helped on the field as well. So I think it's a great start so far, and as we continue to move through the season, I'm more hopeful that it's kind of only going to go up, because as those younger players get more experience in game time and on the field and everything. So
yeah, exactly. Well, you mentioned earlier on in our talk, you guys just came back from Salisbury this past weekend for 2 matches against St. Mary's and then against Salisbury on Sunday, which you won in the 80th minute on a last-second goal by Katie Hammer. That's a great win, and it really leads into this matchup against Messiah this week. But talk about how those 2 matches really prepared you for Messiah coming up this week, and then maybe down the road, traveling a little bit, getting used to being on the road. How did that weekend prepare you for what's coming up on your schedule?
Yeah, it's always fun to get away and just have the girls spend time together, even kind of more team bonding, just a little bit off campus. So it was a nice trip over the weekend. Salisbury's not too far. It's a good facility against 2 good teams. They were both undefeated going into the weekend as well. So nothing to kind of hold the nose up at. There's 2 good groups. I thought we performed really well over the 2 days, out shooting both by a good margin. The St. Mary's one, it was a tough result. In the moment, it was maybe a little bit frustrating, just because how it happened with the one shot on target in the last 5 minutes. But it kind of gave us a little bit of perspective of, we're still outperforming, I guess, teams. Just kind of a reminder of, we got to put the ball in the back of the net, and we got to take advantage of these opportunities. But looking back on it, it's like, hey, if you outshoot a team 17-3, hopefully the next time around,
one of them's going to fall.
It's going to result in a win rather than a tie. And then Salisbury, I was really proud of the girls coming back after, again, getting scored on 5 minutes to go the day before. They could potentially have had some sort of hangover of that, of being a little bit down on themselves against the Salisbury team who won handily the day before, so got a little bit more of a rest than we did.
Right.
So I was really proud of the performance the girls put in. There was a lot of people, like you said, Katie scored her first goal, first collegiate goal with 10 minutes to go, and just having that depth of player in the forwards position, in all positions really, we have good depth. So we were able to use the team in a good way, where we could kind of sub through a number of positions and keep us fresh and keep the pressure on Salisbury. And I was happy to come away with, obviously, undefeated, but the win on the second day.
Your first year as head coach of a prestigious program in McDaniel, and you still have not lost a match yet. How does that feel? I mean, you got to be one of the last, undefeated, first-time coaches in the country. You've never lost a game before in your career. That's got to mean something to you, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's definitely a good start, but I'm not someone who's going to be like, oh no, we lose a game, and then I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Am I
to the
over my
drawing
head?
board.
Yeah, I mean, the team's performing well, and they're the ones who go out there and get the results. So I kind of, I can put them in the position, but it's really all on the girls to get it done. So that's why I say I'm super proud of them for persevering and getting through and making me look good. Kind of just put them out there and give them the tools, and it's all on them to handle it. And again, Messiah is going to be a really big test. So whatever the result may be, we kind of just can use it to kick on and learn. But we're excited to kind of go in there and show them what we got on their turf. So continue it as long as possible.
Yeah, right.
We always tell the girls,
Keep
we're
that streak going.
we're going to win every game until we lose one. Then we're going to win all of them but one, and then win all of them but two. So you kind of just take it in stride. But you ride the wave as long as it lasts. So if it lasts all year, then that'll be great.
It's been a great start, really has been, and I think there's something to say for a great start too. You get off to a good start in the season. You don't lose your first couple of matches, and that momentum continues to build. You have a group of players now that knows how to win and knows how to stay together. And I think the Salisbury game is a great example of staying together all the way through the end, almost to the 90th minute. I mean, you guys won that game with 10 minutes left to go in the game. That really shows a team that's sticking together, that has a lot of camaraderie. And I think that reflects really well on you as a coach, that even in your first year running this team by yourself, you've already got a team that's so cohesive and together and that can play through the whole 90 minutes together.
Yeah, I think we've done a lot of work over the past few years. COVID kind of gave us a new perspective.
Yeah.
So in 2020, we really looked at the culture, and we really looked at kind of the behind-the-scenes stuff and the marginal games that could make the team better. So we talked a lot about that during that year when all you could do were the Zoom calls and everything kind of online and online training. So we put a lot of hard work into that, and I think that culture has continued over the last 4 years, and that's something that I don't want to change because I'm really happy and proud of what Sandy and I have built over the last couple of years since then with the culture and the girls. It's really a player-led team. It's not kind of coach-led. Like we have our team values and our core values and stuff, but they kind of run it day to day. It's by them, however they want to do it. So they are a hard-nosed group. Like there's expectations, and we always are pretty clear in the recruiting process of what we're looking for out of a player, and it's going to be hard work, but hopefully it is going to be a good fun time, and you can can't bank on the results, but if you work hard, and hopefully they come in the end.
Yeah, well, the results have certainly been there to start 2024. Very impressive start for you, for your collegiate career, and I hope that it continues. This Messiah team is not going to be an easy team to beat, but with how you guys have started off 2024, this should be a great matchup. 2 ranked teams in Division III should be really fun, and excited to see what comes out of it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, excited to head up there tomorrow and get the weekend off and give the girls a well-deserved break. But hopefully a good performance tomorrow and keep this thing rolling.
Yeah. Head coach Michael Scott of the women's soccer program here at McDaniel, my second guest today. Thanks so much for being on the first episode, and once again, good luck this week.
No problem. Thanks, Avery.
All right, we'll be right back with segment 3. This is Green Terror Talk, the official podcast of McDaniel College Athletics. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the third and final segment of the debut episode of Green Terror Talk, the official podcast of McDaniel College Athletics. Avery Newport back here once again with the head coach of McDaniel's volleyball program, Jenn Feldmann. Jenn, thanks so much for coming on today.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, Jenn, you guys had a big match last night on the road against Wilson College, which you won in 4 sets. That's a road match for you guys, and it sets you up for the McDaniel Invitational this weekend, which is one of the biggest volleyball events of the year for McDaniel. Tell me about that match last night, how you think it went for your team, and how you think it's going to prepare you for this weekend.
That's a great question. So one of our goals for this year was to have all of our September matches. We want to learn something about ourselves. So for our match last night, I think that was really important because not only are they coached well, but also it was our first match that was during the week. So our girls are having to, balance their schoolwork as well as needing to get up the next day. And it was a road match. And I just think that, they have a very athletic team, and I feel like we scouted pretty well and that we were pretty well prepared for the match.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. I mean, you win in 4 sets on the road. That certainly shows a lot of preparation on your part to get the girls ready to compete. Now let's talk a little bit more about what's coming up this weekend. Can you just describe to me what the McDaniel Invitational is and how important it is for your program?
Sure. So we have what's called a quad tournament, and we have the ability to invite teams that, maybe we don't have the opportunity to see as often. So excited to have Notre Dame, who is local but always provides great competition. We're excited to have SUNY Cobleskill, as well as Mount Aloysius, who was also here last year. Right. And it provides, I think, our parents to have a great opportunity to see, the girls play a lot of matches in one weekend, and it allows us the opportunity to have a lot of experience and just learn more things about ourselves.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, you touched on it a little bit too, playing a lot of matches in one weekend. What does a tournament like this do to prepare you for the grind of the season down the road? Playing so many times in one weekend, do you feel like that sets you up really well for how the rest of the season is going to play out?
I do. I think it is definitely a true test of conditioning and endurance.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I tell them before we go into a big weekend like this is, as an athlete, everyone on the team, we really need to be ready to potentially play 5 sets for each match, which is 15 sets total, because that could happen. And, it's quite different from just those, when we get into conference play, those one match opportunities where your max is only 5 sets. So I think that it prepares us to, play hard and to see different opponents that do different things. So all of those things I think will prepare us for conference play.
Now, what do you think are your team's strengths? You've gotten to see them a couple times already this season. They've played at home. They've played on the road. What do you think your team does well coming into this tournament this weekend?
I think one of the things that we have this year is numbers.
Yeah,
and
right, yeah.
in the past, I've had very small teams, which have been awesome to coach. But I think that our numbers this year, they provide everyone an opportunity to, no one gets completely exhausted just
Yeah.
from practices.
Right.
It gives our team an opportunity to see different types of strategies and like how hitters might hit differently or do something that's similar to a future opponent. And it provides more competition for our team. And then in terms of more strengths, I just think that our team has a lot of belief in itself and
sure.
is very connected. And it's something that, we've been really trying to instill, honestly, since the beginning of summer when our freshmen committed, and our upperclassmen have really been trying to take them into our wing.
Sure. Yeah.
And then everyone that could return did, so that was also a huge plus as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of veteran leadership that I've noticed from your team already. Of course, you have to start when you talk about veteran leadership. Catherine Taveras, your libero, just one of the best in the conference for sure, and she's approaching some historical milestones this year as well, approaching that 1,000 dig status, which she's told us if she gets that dig here at home, she wants it up on the leaderboards right after the game. So Catherine will try to make that happen, I promise. But you do have a lot of veteran leadership on this team. Talk about the impact that they've had so far in the early going.
I think that they all had our four seniors are Allie, Nia, Angelin, and Kathy. And I think that they all had great summers.
Yeah.
I think that they are leaders both in the weight room as students in terms of their physical health off the court, in terms of their level of competitiveness. And I think that you really need that, when you have such a larger roster, of players that are a little bit younger. And they're people that I know that I have a lot of trust in and can rely on, especially in, high stress situations. And it's really been awesome to see them grow over 4 years.
Yeah, and you're going to need to rely on them too, just because of how tough the Centennial is as a volleyball league. I mean, you more than anyone would know that. You were an assistant at Hopkins for many years, and then you came to McDaniel to try and build up this program in your own image. But Hopkins is, again, one of the best teams in the country, and they'll be right at the top of the conference again this year. Talk about the other teams in the Centennial. How do you think the league is going to play out this year, and how do you think you guys are going to fit into it?
One of the things that I think is very unique, especially about the other coaches in our conference, is that we all actually really get along. And
That's good.
we, at least all the other volleyball coaches, we all want to see each other succeed. So especially for Mary Kate, who's at F&M,
Right.
I know that if she played an opponent and I'm about to play them, I know that I can just give her a call and she would be more than willing to offer me notes because we want to see each other succeed. But also there's just a lot of like veteran coaches within our conference that, as someone that has also been in this conference for a long time, it's funny seeing how we sort of know each other's strategies going into each game, but also needing to adapt to the great players that they're recruiting too. I know that Washington College has a new coach, and I think that that's, I love Jamie, and he did such a great job there, but also having a new coach in the conference, I think that'll mix some things up too. Yeah,
for sure. Well, they're the traditional powers, of course, but then you guys are trying to build your own reputation as well and trying to build that steady level of success. How difficult is it to come into a new environment? Like, you've been here for a couple years now, so you've had some time to kind of plant the seeds and grow the program the way you want. But how difficult is it to go from a place like Hopkins, where you have national success, and come to McDaniel, where you have to build something up on your own?
That's a great question.
A little deep, maybe.
Yeah, no. I think you have to remember your why, and it's so important to know the people that you're surrounded by. And I had some phenomenal mentors when I was at Hopkins, but I felt really good about when I was being hired here at McDaniel. And the fact that also I was taking over a program that was already very well ran by Jess Wolverton.
Sure, yeah.
And I think one of the things that actually really helped me was her saying, like, hey, Jen, I really believe in you. And she even came to one of our practices last week. And,
Nice.
she's not a stranger in our gym. And as a coach here, I think that, you need to always just believe and trust in the process.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate that I'm surrounded by such willing, giving, team first people here within the athletics department.
Absolutely. And definitely seems like your players have bought into what you're trying to preach as well. I've seen most of the teams here during the fall semester. This is my first year, of course. And I've really seen a lot of camaraderie with the volleyball team, especially like after every big play, after every kill, every defensive stop, whatever you see, everybody's up on the bench cheering, supporting, and it really does seem like a true team environment. And that's great to see, especially so early on in the season before conference play even begins. Looks like you guys have already gotten the chemistry part of it figured out.
It takes a lot of intentional work. And honestly, it all starts back even, I think, to the recruitment process, because one of the things that we try to stress is, even with the parents, the siblings of the players, it's a full team effort.
Yeah,
And,
right.
we want parents that are going to be supportive of the team, whether their child is on the court or not. And I have a great picture on my office door of our parents that,
right.
and them
Yeah.
cheering. And they're just, I think that they also represent all of the things that we're about, and, just creating that family environment. And I think if, we continue to have that and build that trust, that can really create some magic as a team.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you brought up the family aspect, because when we were first introducing ourselves during the intro meeting a couple weeks ago before the fall started, all the parents were there with all their kids, and we were all in a big circle, like on the court back here in Gill. And I was really blown away by it, honestly, because one, it's just a big group of people. You get all the kids and all their parents together in a big circle like that. But no other team that I noticed anyway, when we went around and we introduced ourselves, we meaning Jason and I, the SIDs here at McDaniel, no other parents were involved. And you guys had parents right away, and everybody was involved together in that circle. And that showed something to me, that you guys really treat this program as a family. Everybody's included, the parents, the players, throughout the whole process. And I took a lot away from that experience, because I thought that was very cool. And it was cool to see that you guys did your own individual thing as well. And that, for intro meetings, it's just kind of, you walk in, you talk to the players and coaches that are there. But for you guys, it seemed a little more personal, a little more intimate. And I liked that a lot. That was cool.
Yeah, move-in day is always such a wild day of emotions, but especially for, our freshmen and their parents. And, I think that starting things off and starting the year off really high on a positive note with all of us together, it's one of the few opportunities we have during the year to all be together.
Yeah.
And just reinforcing what our culture is all about, what our vision is for the future. All of those things are pretty key, I think, to having a pretty good year, throughout the entire season. And honestly, like even just 4 years throughout their career. But yeah, if there's one thing I've learned throughout my time as a coach, especially in the transition between assistant to head, I think it's that, it's not just one person. It's really takes a full team and family. And even speaking about, again, our administrators, our athletic trainers who are taking care of our kids all the time, the professors on campus, like it really is the entire environment and all of the people that are working towards having a positive influence on our players and on this team.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the team aspect. We talked about Catherine Tavares already, your libero. Now let's talk about some other upperclassmen leaders on your team. Kenzie Mitchell, Kaylee Young, Allison Burgee being among them. Talk about their impact specifically and how they've grown already this season.
Mm-hmm. I think that, our juniors and seniors are unique in that when they were first recruited, they kind of had to be those freshmen that immediately had to start and
Step
had
in,
to have
right.
a big physical impact.
Yeah.
And I really think throughout that experience, it just gives you a different perspective of needing to, be competitive right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I've really seen them also be great, just mentors and leaders for each other.
Yeah.
So in those hard moments, because we're all going to have days where we're stressed out and we're just frustrated, and I really see the ways in which they all pick each other up and are supportive and lean on each other. And I think that that's something very special that I'm excited for our juniors, especially as, we prepare them to be seniors next year.
Right.
I think that they're very prepared for that role.
Yeah, well, those 4 players that I mentioned in particular are so effective on the attack, but you've got some great defensive presence as well in the middle with Nia Roberts and Abigail Boley, who's really stepping into a bigger defensive role this year. How's the defense improved in the first couple of matches so far this season in your eyes?
I think that definitely we're just stronger physically this year, and that's really helping us to get a few more blocks. I think we've been doing a lot of eye work and eye sequencing, which is so important in volleyball because especially when a team is in system and can run all of their hitters at once,
Right.
you need to have fast eyes and know similar situations of
Sure.
what's going on. And then, of course, there's a group, I call them the squirrels, but they are our defensive specialists. And there's 5 of them on the team, and really 6 because Sydney, one of our freshmen, is rehabbing from an ACL surgery, and she's doing a phenomenal job. So our squirrels on the team are very intentionally recruited because I want them to just be so hungry for the volleyball and to keep the ball off the floor. So one of the juniors, Sam Fidel, for instance, she has a phenomenal serve, which is really a great strength for us, and we can score a lot of points on.
Yeah.
So she's usually one of the first servers in our rotation. But also she, with our squirrels, there can be, I've seen a lot of teams where they break down because someone's the libero and the others are upset that they're not the libero. And our team, we really stress having even just the utmost respect and support for your position.
Yeah.
And I really think that our squirrels especially just model that so well. And I love working with that group especially. Yeah.
The Squirrels. That's a great nickname. All right, I'm going to have to keep that in mind because I'm going to be behind the mic for a couple of your matches. So Squirrels, I'll make a note of that. But last question here, Jen, before we get you out of here. What are you looking forward to most about this weekend in the Invitational?
I'm really looking forward to being at home and just being on our home floor, and I think just continuing to grow as a team. There's so much potential for this team and different ways in which each player can add great things both on and off the court. But again, the level of competition is going to be so high.
Sure.
So Henry, who is the head coach at Notre Dame, good friends with him, and he just always recruits well. He's been there since 2007, so he, has built a really established program there.
Yeah.
SUNY Cobleskill, they have a player that I used to coach, and her name is JoJo Haycock, and she's a phenomenal defensive specialist, is leading the team, I believe, in digs right now, and she'll lead the court well for her team. Nice. And then Mount Aloysius, they have a phenomenal outside hitter from Florida who performed very well against us when we played them last year. Right. So she's someone that we're going to have our eyes on, and she's someone that's also very similar to a lot of the hitters in our conference. So just learning more about ourselves, growing as a team, and continuing to improve and trust in the process.
Yeah, I think this tournament in particular will really set you guys up really well for the conference schedule, just because you're going to have that endurance to fight through multiple matches in a weekend. Not going to have that rest opportunity. I think that's really going to build up a lot of strength and confidence in your girls to prepare them for the rest of the Centennial moving forward. So, really excited to watch this tournament this weekend. I'll be here for most of it. I'll be at field hockey as well. I'll be kind of all over the place, but I really want to see you guys in action because you've gotten off to a great start so far in 2024. and really excited to see how you perform this weekend.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Jenn Feldmann, head coach of the McDaniel volleyball program. That's going to wrap up our first episode of Green Terror Talk. Jenn, thanks so much for coming on. And we'll have you on next week, I'm sure, to talk about this tournament and what's coming up next. But, this first episode was really just a way to introduce the coaches and the format. But we're going to do some fun things in the future, I promise. We'll get some players on. We'll do some games and challenges. There'll be a lot of cool things that we've got planned for this show. So I hope you're ready for it.
Awesome. Thanks, Avery.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching the first episode of Green Terror Talk, the official podcast of McDaniel College Athletics. We'll see you next time.